is a gift.
Isaac Kappy's last transaction was made on Sunday 12 as he checked in to the Belmont Days Inn. What was he doing there? The hotel, linked to Linda Collins Smith, the senator from Pocahontas, Arkansas, who also got murdered due to uncovering a child sex trafficking ring involving Child Protective Services. The proximity of the Navajo camp, mentioned by Fiona Barnett, is worth noting. Was Isaac following a lead there? And was it a trap instead? The bottom line is, Isaac Kappy was battling many fronts, and like yours truly, following many different leads. The obsession from certain bad actors stands out over the rest. The names of those who tried to destroy Kappy in life and death are obvious. The evidence is everywhere. Kappy pointed out some of the Gabe Hoffman connections and was about to blow the lead on the gatekeeper. The producer bragged about getting Isaac the platform from Twitter and slandered him as a mentally ill junkie. Hoffman also stalked me for over a year, bragging about getting me shut down from Patreon, Facebook, PayPal, Twitter, you name it. Others who attacked or latched onto Isaac's case have also come after me. Kappy wasn't perfect by any means, but he wasn't a liar. The fact people get paid to deflect from his murder is evidence enough he was over the target. The fact researchers looking into his death get gang-stalked is reassuring.
So much infiltration, guys. So many infiltrators. Fiona, Elahai, Jason Boss. Jason Boss collaborated with Gabe Hoffman. Wow. It's a really bad look. It's a really bad look. Fiona Barnett. Yeah, Fiona Barnett. I don't even know what her deal is. I don't know why she does what she does. I don't know if she's just... Yeah, Fiona's an infiltrator. You can't just fucking lie about shit. You can't just lie about stuff. You can't just make shit up. It just makes everybody look bad. You know? And then you're like, oh, let's get close to Isaac. For why? I don't know. Elahai? Oh, fuck yeah, Elahai. Guys, Elahai is comped on a lot of levels. Elahai. It's all infiltration, guys. All infiltration. Like a sea of it. And I knew it was going to be retarded when I did this, but holy crap. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Yeah.
There is a whole swamp of planted, quote, researchers and witnesses whose sole mission is to misinform the public and overload the case with false leads and irrelevant rabbit holes. This happens in pretty much every notorious case. Whoever organized the plan to murder Kappy certainly is well-funded and well-organized. Not only did Isaac blink twice and cue for the camera when one of his viewers asked if he was filming under duress, but the stream didn't show a man who was suicidal. Kappy felt trapped by his choices, not by his feelings. The dogs he lived with were agitated, and if you paid close attention, you can hear a man trying to silence them. Sure, Kappy seemed defeated, but his demeanor didn't indicate he was at peace with what was about to happen. This rushed farewell wasn't his choice, and he wasn't okay with how things ended. Kappy's hands were in good condition, so who punched those holes in the wall? Who was there unsettling the dogs? Isaac Kappy got a script he had to follow, and there were things he wasn't able to say on his last video. Still, he made his best effort to hint at some of the happenings around his sudden departure. More than anything, it sounded like he would have liked a chance to make amends. And there's no sense in killing yourself before that, right? All in all, it looks like a directed script with some of Kappy's thoughts mixed in for credibility. It doesn't sound like Kappy at all, and it's flooded with coded messages. Furthermore, his last Instagram post, signed, quote, July 4th, 2019, Return of the King, Return to the Light, quote, This could have been a reference to QAnon and the return of the prodigal son, as many believed and still believe John F. Kennedy Jr. could come back from the grave. It could have been about hinting at his killers, and maybe it hints at Eli's priest demo song, The King Returns. But, as it turns out, the letter also connects with Kappy's nemesis, Gabe Hoffman. Hoffman was neighbors with Chris Klein, a fellow billionaire nicknamed King Coal due to his ventures in the coal mining industry. Sadly, Klein perished in a helicopter crash on July 4, 2019, and since the letter mentioned a king returning to the light on July 4th, it matches the signature on all counts. Was Gabe Hoffman mocking his victim, all while using predictive programming to telegraph his deed to take over his neighbor's assets? Hoffman benefited financially from Klein's untimely passing. This is no evidence of anything. As a hedge fund manager, Hoffman's nature is to take advantage of anybody else's misfortune. Gabe Hoffman is also rumored to work with or for Black Cube Intelligence, a private intelligence company founded by Mossad people. Hoffman denies there was any involvement in between Ghislaine Maxwell, Jeffrey Epstein, and Mossad. And of course, he denies the participation of Steven Spielberg in the mega group. Not to say Hoffman had anything to do with the helicopter accident that claimed his neighbor's life, but perhaps there's a story there. To recapitulate, Gabe Hoffman attacked Kappy for years. The hedge fund manager from West Palm Beach, like Jeffrey Epstein, covered for Mossad and Ghislaine Maxwell. He has links to the Clintons via Tenet Healthcare, has links to deceased Chris Klein via Jupiter Capital, has made considerable donations to Jeb Bush and Mitt Romney. His next-door neighbor is Al Hoffman Jr., who, by the way, was the American ambassador in Portugal from 2005 to 2007. He served as the co-chair of George W. Bush's 2000 campaign for president and also served as a finance chair of the RNC and the chairman of Florida Governor Jeb Bush's re-election campaign. Hoffman fundraised for John McCain's 2008 candidacy and Mitt Romney's 2012 candidacy. Hoffman donated $1 million to Right to Rise, a super PAC supporting Jeb Bush's 2016 presidential candidacy. A super PAC Gabe Hoffman also donated money to. When I made this information available to the public, Gabe Hoffman stated that I was wrong, and I quote, Louder Than Love made a Facebook post and implied that owner-producer Gabe Hoffman, neighbor, was somehow connected to the disappearance of Madeleine McCann in Portugal in 2003 because he was U.S. ambassador. Simple public research, the guy became ambassador 2 years later in 2005. And that's true, as I just told you. But Madeleine McCann disappeared on the evening of May 3rd, 2007. She was born in 2003, but disappeared in 2007. Gabe Hoffman doesn't even fact-check the things that he's going to use to attack somebody else, all while claiming other people is inefficient or just frauds because he cannot do a simple fact-check. I never said Al Hoffman Jr. was involved in the disappearance. I said he was involved in the cover-up. If you see the police sketches from Scotland Yard, they look just like four people who Gabe Hoffman likes to defend plenty. John Podesta, Tony Podesta, Anthony Weiner, and Ghislaine Maxwell. Frankly, Gabe Hoffman is not that good at his job at gatekeeping. He also covered up for David Geffen, Steven Spielberg, Ian McKellen, and Hugh Jackman, who also assisted Bryan Singer's parties to rape kids. My story with Hoffman started 1 year before Isaac was murdered. While I was a group admin for the Crazy Days and Nights Facebook page, I exposed a possible blackmail scheme against the website's owner. Antti is an entertainment lawyer who has done wonders exposing Hollywood, but at the same time, he has published misinformation, and he doesn't bet the tips that he gets. So take his information with a grain of salt. He also has a habit of publishing other people's content and claiming as his without crediting the proper source, as he has done with me a number of times. After the suspected woman linked herself to Hoffman directly through a trap that I set for them on Twitter that proved their association, I tried to warn Antti. After Hoffman realized what was going on, he got me removed from the group and banned from Facebook. He defended pedophile Steven Spielberg fiercely. The man Antti outed as a participant in what happened to the child actress Heather O'Rourke, along with fellow suspects Tom Hanks and Henry Winkler. I spoke personally with Antti about this. He claims he got blindsided and that's why he never invited Hoffman to his podcast again. Considering Kappy spoke out against Spielberg plenty, the fact Hoffman was out there cleaning his name before targeting the man speaks volumes. And if it wasn't enough, once Kappy was murdered, he went after the main researchers trying to expose what happened to him, including myself and many others.
Oh, so today the topic, and I'm glad you chose this or inquired about it, because I do get a lot of emails about it and I get a lot of questions about it, and it's been mentioned a ton since the reveal that I did in January of 18, and I wrote it in November 2017 about Heather O'Rourke. One of the things that when I was looking at comments, people thought, oh, well, I thought she died of this, I thought she died of this. And I think for a long time there was this, people had this misconception that she had died during tonsil surgery or something like that. What I found since then, and I just wanted to see if I could ever find anything like that, and I couldn't. But what I did find was some interesting things about her death that were said by USC doctors. And nobody, the general consensus of, there's one quote, it just doesn't seem to quite make sense, and that was a USC gastroenterologist. Somebody said it's weird. She was completely healthy Saturday. They thought she had the flu on Sunday, and she was dead on Monday. And it's sepsis of the intestines, in the bowel, and nobody. It totally came out of nowhere. Like I said, that nobody even knew that she. And then Saturday, Sunday, Monday, she's dead. So it was, and I found that out after basically that I wrote the blind item, that I didn't realize it was quite that sudden. So. But is there anything you want to say about it before I read the blind?
I understand, and it's, everybody should realize it'll be obvious from the blind that this is a blind that someone had sent to you.
Yes.
So this is someone's story, someone's recollection, or what have you. It's their point of view or their story. It's not necessarily even yours. It's certainly not mine. I happen to have a very different point of view based on my research that we'll get into, but I just wanted to, it'll be clear from the blind when you read it that it's not your
no, it's somebody who was there. Yeah.
Separate, but yeah, it's somebody who is making certain claims.
Yes.
So please go ahead and read it.
So this is from November 9th, 2017, revealed on January 1st, 2018. Back in the mid-'80s was peak child molesting time in Hollywood. There was no internet. There were very, very few mobile phones. Children came to the set where they were left alone by their parents. For the next 8 hours, they were subject to every kind of horrible thing you can imagine. Drugs were commonplace. They were used to try and get the kids to not be so hysterical when being assaulted. Producers loved casting shows with kids and tweens. If someone pitched a show that involved a handful of tweens with a dozen tween extras per week, it would get a green light. Even if the show was going to suck and everyone knew it was going to suck, if you got the right pedo at a studio, he would say yes just to come for the casting and taping of the pilot. As sad as it is to say, there were a lot of parents who told their kids to go off with the nice man in the suit and do what he says. It was a sick, sick time. It was just past the mid-'80s when a producer came up with the idea of a tween show that not only would feature a rotating cast of extras, but would make the studio a bunch of money because they would film quickly and not hire any adults. Further, the faster they filmed, the more time they would have to molest all the kids that would be hanging around. From the first day, it was the worst place on earth if you were a kid. The studio where the show was filmed also had several other shows being filmed there, most of which featured lots of children. Executives would drive over to Hollywood right before lunch and would stay at the studio for several hours each day. Anyway, on this particular show, there was a special guest star, a very special guest star. Still not a tween, everyone knew who she was. Executives flocked to the studio that day to see her. She was first molested when she was 5 or 6, and had continued to be molested throughout her hit movies and also on a previous show. One of the stars of the show, who spent her life bouncing in and out of rehab because of what she saw, and who was actually nominated for awards from the show, described the atmosphere that day. And it's a quote. "A bunch of effing pigs. I had just turned 12 or 13. I was the same age as the actors coming in, maybe a little older. We had been shooting for months, and I was old news. They knew I would do what they wanted, but they always wanted someone new. This was someone new and someone they all knew. They had it set up like a peep show almost. She had finished shooting that morning, and they brought her out on the stage. The stage was used most of the time for a game show that was taped there. That game show is still on today. I can't watch it knowing what happened to her there. They brought her out, and the front 4 rows of this theater were filled with guys who were already rubbing themselves. The girl was wearing a bikini. The show took place around a beach just so they could make girls wear next to nothing. They had her walk around under the lights. The lights were focused on her, and she couldn't really see out to the audience. She was squinting. It must have been blinding for her. They had her walk back and forth, then they had her start dancing. All of these guys were doing what another star at that same studio got busted for. This went on for about 20 minutes. Then 3 of the guys took her to a different area of the studio." That's the end of the quote. And then the actress said, "Actress didn't see what happened. But about 45 minutes later, one of these 3 guys come running out and need a set medic. Apparently they had inserted something inside the girl and things were bad. The medic came and the ambulance came. The parents of the girl were told some crap story. That crap story ended up killing the girl because the parents believed the executives. 2 weeks later, the show finished shooting 6 episodes all at once, and then everyone was sent on their way forever. No one wanted the kids around or any witnesses to what happened." And so that's Heather O'Rourke. Thoughts, Mr. Hoffman?
Now, was that did you mention the show? Was it Rocky Road? I know that there was a guest.
I did not mention the show.
That's something that you're not at liberty to
yeah, I just
talk about.
Not right now.
It'll identify the speaker, if you will. Fair
Correct.
Enough. So what does it for me, Auntie, is this: the mother sued for medical malpractice.
Yes, she did.
And so, in my view, that eliminates any possibility of the sort of sexual abuse in the manner that is alleged. Because if you've got a girl, you've got 3 sets of doctors who are all being sued for medical malpractice, and they're looking for any way to deflect that sort of blame. There was a surgery that was done because the defect was actually corrected at the hospital in San Diego. It was just then she died on the operating table. But they went in there in that specific area, that there are all these medical records, and again, 3 different parties responsible. They're not going to miss if a 12-year-old girl had things inserted in her rectum. There would be certain types of scarring around that area that would happen in anybody's case that alleges sexual abuse at that age or around that age that goes to a doctor. It's the same sort of, it's just something they couldn't miss. And that they would be looking for in their defense to say, no, this is what really happened.
No, you make a very good point about that. I would say that there was a couple of doctors. I think, one is the chief of pediatric gastroenterology at Harvard University of California at Los Angeles Medical Center. And the quote was, "Moderate bowel narrowing at birth might not cause symptoms, but a lack of symptoms before age 12 would be distinctly unusual." And another one, a USC pediatrician, said, "I cannot understand what precipitated the death because it's usually clear when they're born that they have an important disease." They assumed that the parasite inflamed the intestine, but they didn't know what inflamed the intestine.
Well, those were, and so those, when I researched this, I found those to be those were the immediate sort of, those were the quotes that were given by physicians in the immediate aftermath of her death, right? Those are the stories that are like a day or two after she died, let's say, right?
Yeah.
And so those are not reflective of the further analysis that's available in terms of the medical records when you get into the medical malpractice case. It was actually found, the mother was found half liable, and the doctors were found half liable because the mother didn't like react very quickly and get her to where she needed to be quickly enough when Heather started to deteriorate.
And, you know, the person that was there, she, like I said, she didn't actually see what happened because they took her to a different area of the studio. She was, you know, based on, you know, things that they had done to her in the past, and things that, you know, she had been doing with them for the entire time, I guess, that she was on the show. And, you know, like she said, we'd been shooting for months, and I was old news. They knew that I would do what they wanted, but they always wanted someone new. And, you know, and there's no doubting that Heather was there that day. Now, what happened, I don't know. And, you know, maybe they didn't insert. Maybe there was just something that happened to her related to that, to the intestinal problem.
Yes, and also, so there are a lot of other points that for me add up, you know, in saying that Heather was not, you know, that it is very unlikely that she was molested in that way. So,
NYT ain't got nothing for me. I roll it up to smoke a little weed. Don't talk about RBG, yeah. Oh, they lie. Just a lot of fake news, yeah. We know that everything you do is a lie, guys. Why are you such fucking liars? Don Lemon is the bitch and you all know it. Don Lemon is the best friends with Jussie Smollett. This guy's just to grab your heartstrings. They're hoax perpetrators. Oh yes, they're hoax perpetrators. Fake news, fake hate, crimes, and cold town. Taking some bucks from it. What a bitch with an Adam's apple. Hey. They ain't got nothing but me. The NYT is bullshit. CNN, MSM, all of it. Motherfucker, are you so dumb that you will swallow it? No. Occasional cortex. Wow. I heard you got some dance moves, but your brain ain't got nothing much in it. Bill Maher in your red shoes. Is it suicide weekend for you? No. Oh my God, it's snowing in Calabasas. Bernie is a bitch, Epstein is formerly rich. 1221, take it away. Epstein Island burned away. And realized that guy was stealing all the cash for houses all over the world. Are you tired of winning? Are you tired of winning yet?
there's also the myth or the misperception that I believe some folks have, because they imagine Heather O'Rourke, the person, to be Carol Ann from Poltergeist, because that's when they've seen her. They imagine a sort of meek person with a certain voice, and so it's easy for them to imagine that person fitting the profile of someone who might have been sexually molested. The reality is that Heather O'Rourke as a person, in my view, was nothing like that person, and was nothing like the profile of typically what one would see from someone who was getting a child getting molested. Especially, keep in mind that for any child being molested, it's something, I mean, just incredibly, incredibly serious. Next to murdering them, you could argue you're murdering their soul. And in the case of, what is being alleged with those who believe, what the author of The Blind wrote, that is like a 10 out of 10 or a 9 out of 10 in terms of severity of abuse. That's not somewhere you start. You even see from our film, these are, men who haven't been abused in some cases for 15 years or 20 years, or in Evan's case, it had been like 4 years. And look, you can tell they're emotionally off. They talk about their real life, and you could tell, or you watch Leaving Neverland or something. Well, Heather O'Rourke didn't fit that profile. For example, she was her 5th grade class president. Yes. She was known to be very socially well-adjusted in general. She was known to have a close relationship with her mother. Her family was not a stage family. They lived in Big Bear. Her stepfather was a part-time, contract truck driver. He kept, if she was the homemaker, the mother, the father kept working. She made between $50,000 and $125,000 for Poltergeist 1. But other than Poltergeist 1, 2, and 3, those couple months she spent somewhere, she was not a Hollywood child actor per se. If you look at IMDb very closely, she was in like one episode of this show and like one episode or 2 episodes of that show.
But that's what a child actress will do. And one thing I got to push back on a little bit is she might not have been. This was a mother that was trying to get her children into show business. So this is somebody that wanted that. That she was taking, I believe it was Tammy or whatever. I think that's Heather's older sister. So she was taking Tammy around everywhere to try and she was taking her for auditions. I mean, just nonstop. And, she got lucky that Spielberg was there and saw Heather O'Rourke at the MGM commissary. But this is somebody, as soon as she earned some money, the parents went and bought a house with it. So I would argue
in Big Bear.
Big Bear can be really expensive because it's up where you ski. I'm just saying that, and also the fact about the one credit here, one credit. That's how Hollywood works. You just have to keep going out there, and you have to keep doing your one episode, and then at pilot season, hopefully you get a show. And the fact that she was starring in these very hit movies, but still having to do one-off episodes, shows to me that, hey, let's go get a check, let's go get a check, let's go get a check. Because you won't see normally somebody who is in basically a franchise just doing one-off episodes. So that's my thing on that. I'm not pushing back against anything you're saying, because you obviously know the profile of, a molestation victim, much better than me. I'm just saying that don't buy into the whole that she doesn't really want to be an actress kind of thing. She might not have wanted to be an actress, but her mom was pushing it, and that's how I get out of it.
Talent definitely runs in families, as we're about to find out. We have 2 sisters, the O'Rourke sisters, originally from Santee, now living in Anaheim. Heather O'Rourke you saw in Poltergeist. They're here. I bet you hear that a lot, don't you? Mm-hmm. People ask you to say that a lot.
Yeah, a lot.
They're here, so I won't ask you to say it, okay? Unless you really want to say it. And next to her is her older sister, Tammy. Tammy is a talented singer and dancer in her own right. As a matter of fact, got Heather involved in the business. She appeared in the movies Pennies from Heaven and Annie. And welcome, both of you, to Sun Up San Diego for the second time. You've been on before. I understand you were on before with your mom.
Yes, we were.
But she doesn't like to be on television.
It just depends on what it is, really.
Yeah? So she's not an actress mother. She is not the one who got you started.
No.
How did you develop your talent?
Well, my dance teacher got me started into the acting business. And when I was little, all my friends, they danced and everything, and I always wanted to dance. So I started dancing. Then my old dance teacher got me involved with Danny Daniels, the dance teacher. He got me involved, and he said there was an audition for the Tim Conway show. Well, we went, and I got a regular on the show as a Don Crichton dancer. That's how I got into the acting business.
And then how did you get into the acting business?
Well, we were eating at the MGM commissary when she was filming Pennies from Heaven. And I was eating lunch with my mom in the commissary, and Steven, he kept on waving at me. And after lunch, he came over and asked my mom if I was doing anything, and my mom goes, no. So he made me do an interview for the Poltergeist movie, and he said it's for 5-year-olds, which I was 5 then, and I went in there, and my mom and me thought that this is no big, but when we saw the posters of Jaws and Close Encounters, we go, this is really a big movie that I'm going out for.
And Steven was Steven Spielberg, who was the director, right? Poltergeist was a really scary movie. In the making of it, did you get scared at all?
When I was making it, no. But when I saw it, it was real scary to me.
I bet. It was scary to me. Even though you knew it was you. What did you feel like when you saw yourself?
I felt that good, because I felt that I did a good job on the movie.
You did. What do you think when you see yourself, Tammy?
Well, sometimes I criticize. Like, I know I could have done that better, and I did that terrible. But otherwise, I feel really good because I'm seeing myself up there, and I go, I think I did a pretty good job, like Heather did. But then I criticize myself and say, oh, I did terrible. I could have done that better. But it's really exciting to see myself up there on the TV.
What do you think is the hardest part of acting?
Oh, the hardest part probably is, there really isn't a hard part in acting at all.
I was thinking as it related to Heather, learning lines, learning your script must have been difficult at 5. Could you read?
I learned how to read before kindergarten, so I knew how to read, and I read real well, and I memorized scripts really quick.
So you're just naturally smart, huh? What do you want to do when you grow up? What is it that you would like to do?
I want to be an actress, a director, and a producer.
Okay, and how old are you now?
I'm 7.5.
Well, you're well on the way. And you, Tammy? Any goal?
I'm pretty much like the same as Heather. I want to be an actress, and I want to sing and dance on Broadway or something.
We have time for questions from the audience. Does anybody have any questions? Do we have any questions? Okay, we have a lot of kids in the audience, so I'm going to come down here and see what people have to say. Okay, let me start with you. Can you stand up? What's your question?
Were you scared when you went on the show Poltergeist? No, I wasn't when I went on the show.
It's just when you saw yourself afterwards,
Yeah.
it was scary. For me, too. Hi.
How did you feel when you got the part?
I was excited because that was my first movie I ever did.
You haven't done any movies since, have you?
No.
Okay, we have time for one more question.
Do you like what you're doing?
I really enjoy being an actress, what I'm doing.
As one of Hoffman's targets, I can attest to the stalking. He paid other people to create 1-hour videos dragging my name through the mud, plus hundreds of internet posts targeting me through a span of probably a couple of years. I wouldn't be shocked if they go at it again once they see this. The Fango used a Mossad t-shirt for his slanderous videos against me, a shirt that Hoffman sent him. He did the same with others whose true intentions are shady. Hidden in plain sight, perhaps?